Hello everyone, it's Lee Evans here. If you gain some benefit out of what I'm going to share here today, then please like my posts, subscribe to my YouTube channel. You can sign up to my website at www.mindpowersolutions.co.uk, where I share practical tips and advice on well-being, performance, resilience and other topics. So what I'm going to share with you today in hopefully under 10 minutes is one of the most important things that people can learn for performance, lowering stress levels, well-being, and it's basically how to breathe properly. There's a number of reasons I'm choosing this topic. One is that Nadia Newton, hello, shout out, asked for breathing tips on one of my Facebook posts that I put on there. So did Lucy Jones, who's a friend of my sister's. So this one's for you about overcoming anxiety and overwhelming feelings. A number of other reasons. One being it's one of the quickest, most powerful ways to influence your nervous system in a relaxing way. So be able to actually change the way your body is feeling in that moment of stress or pressure or whatever it might be. Another reason which is really important for people is that when you breathe in a certain way and you relax your nervous system in this way through breathing, you activate the prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain that is associated with logical thought, rational thought, which is obviously not the part of the brain that is activated when you're in emotion, high emotion and feeling and fear and doubt and all of those other feelings that are going on. So when you activate this part of the brain, you're able to then think more clearly, more rationally in what's useful for you in that moment, rather than getting taken away by the panic or the fear and the feelings of overwhelming feelings sometimes. So a number of different reasons. I'm going to show you how to breathe, I'm going to explain it, and then I'm going to show you how to use this breath, this way of breathing in 3 different ways throughout your day, so that you can train over time, train your brain, your nervous system to be more relaxed. Breathing is the gateway to many different things. Self-hypnosis, the gateway to self-hypnosis and accessing that state of your mind, which is very, very powerful, and where you're able to program the feeling part of your mind. It's the gateway to mindfulness and other kind of practices like that, and meditation. You learn to breathe and meditate using your breath very easily, and it relaxes the muscles. It allows clear thinking, and basically performance is increased in any aspect of life through learning to breathe effectively and influencing your body in that way. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to explain, I've got my little notebook here that I borrowed from my son, and many people learn to breathe, and many people are teaching how to breathe in ways that are, in my opinion, not as helpful as they could be. So they may teach to breathe in for a certain number of seconds, then you hold your breath for a certain number of seconds, then you breathe out for a certain number of seconds, and then you hold again before breathing in. Now that is a square, and well, it looks like a square, but there's edges, you know, there's corners, and it's not as flowing and easy as it could be. So I'm not saying it's not helpful, it can help people, clearly, but I'm interested in getting the maximum amount of help that you can from your breath, the maximum efficiency. So the way I teach people to breathe is very much in a circular flowing motion like this. So obviously not a complete circle, but bear with me with my drawings. So, and the way we do this, there's a number of reasons. We begin at the bottom of the breath here, and then we're going to take in the breath in a certain way, in a nice flowing way, okay? And the way we're going to breathe, the way that you do that breathing, is not nasal breathing like this, where there's lots of movement and sound of the nose is clear, because that's blocking the airways as you're trying to get more air, more oxygen in. Is more in this diaphragm breathing kind of way, where it's got a completely different sound, a much deeper sound down here. So just try that quickly now. Start with nasal breathing, identify that. This sound where there's movement, there's sound in the nose that you can hear, which is the restriction, and then identify this sound, which is much deeper. You can feel it on the throat more than in the nose, and when you can feel that difference in sound and that difference in flow of the air, that's how we're going to do this breathing, but we'll slow it down when we do it. But anyway, so we start the breath in, and it starts to come up, in this circular flowing motion now, and continues all the way up until we get up towards the top of the breath. And what I mean by the top of the breath here, we're going to have a transition. This top of the breath, I mean when your lungs are expanded and it feels like there's no more air to be able to take in. So without creating any tension, we're basically getting to the top of this breath here, and then we're going to transition out of the top of the breath into the flowing air, the exhale. So from the inhale to the exhale in a flowing movement without holding breath, but by achieving a little bit of stillness at the top, just 1 or 2 seconds. So we have 1 to 2 seconds of stillness here. And the way I achieve this is when I get to the top of the breath. So I won't do it now, it would take too long, but I get to the top. And you notice my mouth opened, okay? And so as I'm breathing in, I'm inhaling here, my mouth is closed, so the air is flowing in through my nose, although it's nothing to do with my nose in terms of drawing it in. My face is still. It's only coming in through my nose because my mouth is closed. So I draw that in, I get to the top, and when I get to the top, I then just focus my attention on my mouth and my jaw muscles, relaxing the jaw muscles. Just takes a second or two to allow them to open, and in that second or two, I then transition and allow the air to flow out for me. So allow the air to flow out for me. What I mean by that is I don't blow, because that's creating tension in the face and creating tension in muscles. It's all about relaxation effect. So there is no effort involved in any of this. The body's doing the work for you. What I mean by that is as I'm expanding and I get up to this stage, without any movement in my body, I'm breathing from right down the diaphragm. The only piece of movement really is my chest as the ribs are expanding out. And the ribs are expanding out because the lungs are expanding like balloons and pushing those ribs out as if they're like on springs, like a rib cage being expanded out. And when I get to the top here and I let go of the muscles of the diaphragm, which is all I'm using to bring that air in, then naturally the ribs, like springs, they're going to start pushing back in on the lungs. So that's what I mean by let the body do the work for you. As I exhale and I let go of the muscles in the diaphragm, which are the only things I'm tensing to draw that that air in, then the ribs are doing the work for me by pushing onto the lungs, and then the air is flowing out for me. So there's no or pushing or blowing or anything like that. I just open the mouth and I let the air flow out for me. Let the ribs do the work, push on the lungs, and the air flows out for me, and allow it to flow out all the way down until I get down to the bottom of the breath of this flowing circle. And at this point I have another transition to the inhale. So from exhale to inhale, this transition point is the opposite to what it was at the top. So I will then, at the bottom, I will then simply close the mouth. Over 1 or 2 seconds, I'm still in the breathing and I close the mouth and then begin on this flowing movement up again in the breath. So there are a number of rules here. One of the rules is no effort. And I explained what no effort means by, I'm not trying to do anything here, okay? I'm just exercising the muscles in the diaphragm. And people say, how do I know if I'm exercising the muscles of the diaphragm? Well, because nothing else is moving. My body's completely still and I'm still breathing in, and my lungs are expanding and my rib cage is expanding out because the lungs are moving, but nothing else is moving, not my shoulders, not my arms, not any of those things. I don't need those things to breathe. Then you're breathing from the muscles in the diaphragm, okay? So you tense those muscles. So that's partly no effort, and no effort in breathing out because I let the ribs do the work for me and allow the air to flow out for me. The other one really linked to this is no movement, okay? So no movement. And I'm talking about, apologies for my writing, but movement is what I said. No movement. Basically what I mean by that is my body is very still. Okay, so I'm going to do a quick demonstration here of what I mean so you can follow this flowing cycle with me doing it for myself. And you may want to skip forward a minute or so because when you do this properly, you can expand the lungs a huge amount and you can get a huge breath which takes a long time to come in. So taking you through the steps, I still the body, I let everything relax. I can sit in a chair, let them identify any pieces of tension that may be in my neck or shoulders, and just everything drop down. My elbows, if they're held out like this, I just drop them down into my lap like that. And I can fix my eyes onto a single point, so I'm going to use the camera now to focus on you and fix on that single point. And now what I'm going to do very slowly is begin a very long, very slow, deep breath in through the lungs in that diaphragm way, but very slow, taking it in very subtly and very slowly, like this. Okay, so as you can see there, a number of things are happening. My eyes were very fixed onto a single point, so I'm developing a single point awareness here, nothing else bothering, and that's something I can help you to understand more if you want to engage with those things. But you still the mind in effect by staying at single point. Now begin a very long, very slow, deep breath, as I showed on the drawing here. We start in through the nose, but no movement in the body. Body's very still, so begin very long, very slow, deep breath in through the nose in this throat breathing kind of way rather than nasal breathing. It comes up, all the way up, all the way up, expanding the lungs so I get to the top. When I get to the top, I just allow the jaw muscles to relax. You may notice I'm swallowing a lot now. There's a reason for that. As I get to the top, I allow the jaw muscles to relax, open the mouth, and then let the ribs do the work for me and let the air flow out. And as the air flows out, I naturally feel I can close my eyelids down. As my eyelids close down, I can feel that relaxation continuing. It comes all the way down to the bottom until I then transition more. Now the reason I'm swallowing more, you might have noticed it if you look back at the initial bottom of the exhale there's lots of saliva in my mouth. And that's because I've had an activation of the relaxation part of my nervous system, the parasympathetic nervous system, activated very quickly through breathing like that. The reason there's saliva in my mouth is because the parasympathetic nervous system is linked to digestion. So when my digestive system is operating very powerfully, saliva flows a lot more in my mouth because it's readying my mouth to eat. Saliva is there to break down the food, and we eat food when we're more relaxed. So there's direct evidence there for me and for my own self and for anybody who's watching that I've activated the relaxation response, which is a completely different feeling to trying to relax. Okay, so I just recap: long, slow, deep breath, very slow, flowing circular motion, no effort, breathing in this deep diaphragmatic way. I get up to the top, I relax the jaw muscles, I let all of the air flow out for me. I follow that breath all the way down, close the eyelids down, which helps me to relax even further. You can always feel like you have a movement downwards if you do this well. I get down to the bottom, I then transition again into an inhale, close the mouth, and then begin again. We do 3 to 5 of these breaths in that way, then you can generate a very powerful relaxation response. Now, so the first way you use this breathing in a focused way, like I've just shown you there, and you can use this to practice. So you sit in a chair, you focus on a single point, you begin breathing. You may do 3 to 5 breaths or even 3 to 5 minutes worth of this breathing to gain a real relaxation response in the moment. And you do this every day, and you'll start to then train your brain and your nervous system to be more relaxed. The second way you do this, if you're proactive and you really want to make an impact in the relaxation response that you have generally in life, is that you will practice breathing in this way. So not sitting and stilling, but throughout your day in a proactive way. So you could set an alarm for yourself every 2 hours, every 3 hours, and it would just say breathe, and ping, off it would go. And wherever you are, whatever you're doing, you would just take a number of breaths like this. And relax the tension, release it out, do 3 to 5 of those breaths, whatever you have time for in that moment. If you do that proactively throughout your day in a structured way, you don't have to stop what you're doing. You can be doing it when you're driving, you can be doing it when you're doing the dishes, when you're working, anything else really apart from talking. You're going for a walk, you can be breathing in that way. We're breathing all of the time anyway, so it's helpful to be doing it effectively a number of times throughout your day. And this does a number of different things. It reinforces the practice you do in the morning, if that's when you do it, with your focused period of breathing. And lots of people find themselves trying to wind down at the end of the night. Well, if you're maintaining this relaxation response throughout your day, throughout your busy day, when you're working, when you're doing anything you're doing in your life, you don't get to that same level of tension that people are trying to wind down from at the end of the day. You maintain more of a balance, so you're much more able to then relax in the evening, sleep more easily, and all of those things. So that proactive breathing throughout your day, every 2 to 3 hours, just reminding yourself, filling the lungs, relaxing the tension, relaxing the muscles in that way, and doing it all throughout your day. And then what you'll develop then is the third way of using this breath is reactive use of the breath. So this is when people are really reaching out for things, when they're panicking, when they're stressed, when they're fearful, when things are feeling like they're out of control. If you do the first two, if you breathe in a focused way every day and you breathe in a proactive way throughout every day, you'll then start to develop a very powerful reactive tool in your breath. So when you then need it and you feel this emergency response or stress response and you focus your eyes and you breathe in that way, you'll get much more of a response from your nervous system in being able to relax and be able to clear your mind and clear thoughts. It's like anything, the more you practice, the better you'll get at things. So if you don't do the focused period of breathing and you don't do the proactive breathing throughout your day, then you can't expect the reactive tool to be as powerful. Some people will say, well, I practice that breathing when I'm stressed, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Yeah, well, it's a bit hit and miss because you're not training it very well, so why do you expect it to be very good in that pressured moment when you really need it, when there's stress, at relaxing yourself? How can you expect it to be very good because you're not training it, you're not practicing it? It's like a pianist expecting to be amazing on a concert hall, a show, a performance, without having done any practice at all. They wouldn't expect that. It's the same way as you trying to relax yourself when you're in a tense situation. You wouldn't expect to be able to relax very quickly, very powerfully, very easily if you hadn't trained yourself very well. And this is easy to train yourself. People say, I haven't got time to breathe. But if you listen to the statement, it doesn't make any sense. We're breathing all the time. So this is just about reminding yourself how to breathe effectively, practicing, doing a bit of practice. So that's the end of that lesson. Please let me know in the comments what thoughts you have, any questions you have, any clarification that you want or need on those things. And like I say, subscribe to the YouTube channel. You hear more of these practical tips to help people. And if you have any topics you'd like me to cover, then please get in touch, let me know, and I can do a video around that if that's appropriate. Okay, have a wonderful day. Take care. Bye.